A famous poet by the name of Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was born in 1802, is known for saying, "Life is a journey, not a destination." My name is Jennifer C., and welcome to the very first episode of Peace, Love, and a Little Cray Cray. I start off with that quote because I am here to tell you about my journeys, and I hope you enjoy them. Thank you so much for giving this podcast a chance. I have had this idea in my head for at least a year and a half, and I'm excited to do it. And I decided today is the day. I've had it rattling, I've been practicing. It's not going to come out perfect, but I'm going to just give it a shot. So thank you for joining me. About a year and a half ago, I was working for a small company, and there were 9 people on a daily call, and we got very close. And we shared what we had to do during the day, what our challenges were. We asked pertinent questions about our job that needed to be asked with our supervisors on the call. And a coworker of mine by the name of John Nito, big shout out, John Nito. He said, "Jenny, you should do a podcast." Because being the oldest in the group, some of the things that I said created silences or questions, and they laughed sometimes at what I had to say. Back in the day, my friends would say, "Jen, you should write a book." So now that it's 2025, I guess it's, "Jennifer, you should do a podcast." So here I am. My goal in this podcast is to make you laugh and to give you some insight into my life growing up, all aspects pretty much, and to hopefully give you some food for thought and some happiness. That's as simple as it gets. There are 2 things you need to know about this podcast going in, which will probably be repeated every episode. I will not talk politics ever, ever. I have my opinions about the way the world's being run politically. I'm not going to share them. I go into Facebook, and I'm sure you guys have too. You may believe one thing when your friend believes another. And sometimes those posts just tend to get a little too harsh. They try to put things like push things down your throat. And I'm not that type of person. I try not to judge people. I try not to sway people. I will give you my opinion on other things, but you don't have to agree with me. The other thing that you need to know is I do have potty mouth. I do. I curse a lot. I say fuck a lot. They say intelligent people curse. So I'm fucking brilliant. Being a Gen Xer, I think, will bring a lot of fun into the podcasts. And I will be having my friends on. And again, there will be no topic that is off limits except for politics. We can talk about football. Yes, I am an Eagles fan. I'm also fairly organic with other teams. I watch New Heights. I like football. I like football a lot. We may not talk about golf because I don't give a shit about golf. So, with that being said, let's get started. And how we're going to get started is a quote every episode. And then we're going to dive right into the little cray cray because I want to make you laugh first. And then I'm hoping the peace and love at the end will give you something to think about and hopefully want to tune in the following week. That's the goal, people. So cray cray can be anything. Cray cray is going to be a little inappropriate. Some of the stories you're going to be like, "What the fuck did she just say?" Or, "I can't believe she's sharing this." My life is pretty transparent. And I will say this, and I truly, truly mean it. by the grace of God, as I sit here, I'm lucky to be alive. That's how cray cray I can go. I may start off a little light cray cray today. I only have a couple handful of things to say about cray cray. But since it's the very first podcast, I want to talk about firsts. So I initially wanted to start off with my first kiss. But then I remembered that I wanted to tell you about how I thought people got pregnant. Now you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? It will all make sense. Just give me a minute. So before I knew anything about the birds and the bees, I was probably maybe 8 years old. I knew nothing about sex or, making babies. And I had a stepbrother who was dating a real pretty girl, and they were sitting on the couch making out. And I saw their tongues entwine. And I swore that's how you got pregnant. I'm not kidding you. I thought the saliva from the female's mouth and the male's mouth, once they kind of mixed up together, like with the tongue and all that shit, the girl would swallow the man's saliva and then she would get pregnant. Honest to God, that's how I thought you got pregnant. Little did I know. So, on to the first kiss. I was in 6th grade, hanging with my BFF, Lisa Moran, who's been my best friend, side note, since 1st grade. She says kindergarten, but she's fucking wrong because I went to a different elementary school than her. But anyway, we were in 6th grade. I was over her house, and there was a boy that lived across the street, and his name was Stephen Farrell. That's his real name. Sometimes I'm going to tell stories and not use real names, as you'll soon find out. Anyway, Stephen had a friend, I believe his name was Bill. Lisa will have to correct me on that. His friend was staying overnight, and we decided to play jailbreak. Jailbreak was kind of cool. Like, it was like hide and seek, but like you ran the whole block and you climbed on buildings and garages and shit and hid in the bushes. So Stephen and I were on the same team, and we were crouched down in the dirt behind someone's bushes. And he was a nice kid, and he had some pretty blue eyes, man. I do remember that. So we kissed. No tongue. But at that point, I also knew that swapping saliva didn't get you pregnant, but no tongue. But it was the first like long kiss, and did something to my belly. I don't know, butterflies, whatever. And he was in junior high. He was in 7th grade. So my first kiss was with someone in junior high, and I was in 6th grade. So we decided that we liked each other. I rode home on my bike, and I remember going to my mom saying, "Hey, Mom, I'm home." And it was like a switch had flipped. I felt a little guilty about that kiss to my mom. I didn't feel guilty, but I just like looking at my mom, something had changed. And that was the process of me starting to grow up. So Lisa also kissed Bill. And the next day we had a little meeting on my front steps. And we sat down, all 4 of us, Lisa, Bill, Stephen, and I, and we decided to go over the bases. First base was just kissing, if I'm correct. Second base was getting felt up. Third base was going down towards the vajayjay, and we all know what the home run was. So I just picked first base. Lisa, I think you picked second. Just saying. Anyway, it was pretty cool because, junior high guy, he would write me notes in study hall. We didn't have cell phones to text or anything, and when we would see each other, he would hand me the note that he wrote me in study hall, and I would write him a note, and it was kind of cute. Short lived, but cute. Anyway, that's my first kiss. Another cray cray, losing my virginity. That's right. I said it. We're going there already. Hence the name Peace, Love, and Little Cray Cray. Everybody remembers their first time. I believe that, unless you were blacked out drunk or on some acid trip or something like that. And for most of us, it was probably a very uneventful, unimpressive experience. I was 16 and a half, and I met the Virginizer. Not going to use his real name. Not that he'd ever find me. I don't know what the hell he's doing with his life. But that year in high school, I think I was in 8th or 9th grade, this guy actually went around divergenizing people. I was his third. And to be quite honest, that's all he was there for. I mean, he was okay. He was tall. He was okay, attractive, I guess. But I knew his purpose in my life was to de-virginize me. He was dating a friend of a friend at the time, and they broke up, and we started hanging out. I was also getting high at the time, smoking weed, and that was our thing. Like, we would hang out and get high, and his pet name for me was Cray Babe. Red flag right there. I'm very tall. Side note, I'm 5'11" and a half. So I was pretty tall in 8th or 9th grade, and his affectionate name for me was Great Babe. What the fuck? Again, the man was going to serve a purpose, which he did. So my mom went grocery shopping, and it usually took my mom an hour to an hour and a half to go grocery shopping. She had left the house. My stepsister at the time was outside on the porch. The divergenizer was wearing white shorts, short sleeve shirt. I definitely remember the white shorts. And we went into my family room, and my family room had these two couches. They're just kind of very simple, flat couches. I don't know what the material was. Like, I automatically want to say polyester, but it wasn't. It was scratchy as shit. And they were plaid, and just the I remember the fabric. It was not, we didn't bring blankets or sheets or anything like that. Like, it was just like, get it over with. And what the fuck was foreplay? We didn't know what foreplay was. You make out, whatever. So I remember how quickly it happened and how painful it was. Like, I was like, this is what everybody's so excited about. Like, this is losing your virginity, and this is what makes me a woman. Like, it was horrible. What the fuck? It was horrible, painful, whatever. I don't even think it lasted 5 minutes. So when the divergenizer, I almost said his real name, when the divergenizer went to put his white shorts back on, he was apparently wearing my virginity as well. And I did not say a word. What am I going to say? Like, it was awkward. Everything was just awkward. So after that, we decided to go see his buddy and get a nickel bag of weed and get high. And a nickel bag is $5 worth of weed for people that don't know that from Gen X. And we were walking home from getting the nickel bag, and he got really pissed off because he was wearing white shorts and he saw what I saw. So that relationship did not last very long, obviously. But I just wanted to share that because it was a first. So uh, I did have a first love, which we'll get into. I remember my first panic attack, 1979. Look it up. There was a Skylab that was falling, and it was just this thing in space, and it was hanging up there, and it was malfunctioning, and it was going to fall to Earth. And here I am, 10 years old, thinking that it's going to fall on my house and kill my family. So you'll find that anxiety has plagued me since 1979, but I distinctly remember that as well. So my first job, Ponderosa. Me, Lisa, we had a great group in high school. Um, and I ran the salad bar at Ponderosa from 4 to 9 with Lisa, Monday through Friday. Started making my own money. Um, Ponderosa, look it up. You guys can Google it. Whereas back in the day, I would have to use an encyclopedia or go to the fucking library, but you guys can Google Ponderosa. You would walk up cafeteria style. You could order, um, shrimp or steak or whatever. And you would just, pick your sodas and stuff like that. Go to the cashier. There'd be a salad bar. You'd get your stuff. We had so much fun. And it's so funny when you look back on your life because, it was a pain in the ass. Like you really did work. But it was one of the most memorable times in my high school career, I guess, my high school years. Um, and what they say about restaurants is true. I'm not going to deny. True story. We had a cook, and one of the biggest things that you could order at Ponderosa was a porterhouse. And I was kind of walking back, and we had a walk in for all the stuffed salad bar and stuff, and I was getting some shit out of there or whatever. And I literally watched this dude try to flip a porterhouse, and it fell on the floor. And he did not care. He picked it right up, right back on the ground. So if you ever do get nervous about sending your food back or maybe being nasty to a server, just remember my story. I mean, I doubt it. I guess I would assume, yes, it does happen today. So, like in this day and age, rather. Oh my gosh. So, and I know that you guys have seen my arms. I have some tattoos. I have 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So, and 7 is enough. If you want to ask my BFF Lisa, I don't think she can ever have enough tattoos. But my very first one was a Japanese symbol on my shoulder for love. And I got that a year after my mother passed. My mother passed when I was 22, and that will be brought up at a later broadcast. So that was my very first tattoo. And since then, we'll get into the other ones that I've gotten and stuff. But yeah, I've had enough tattoos. I'm pretty much done with that. Let's go on to first plane flight. I know this sounds weird because I am a very spiritual person. And again, it's about the journey. Follow that along because some of the stories I'm going to tell you, you're just going to be like, how can this chick be spiritual? And, it's the journey, people. It's the journey. But I didn't always follow my belief in God's plan, but it's the journey. So I remember I was dating a guy who I think his mom, I don't know, I saw a tarot card reader and she brought up a lot of stuff that was actually on point. She said that green would bring me money and success, and it wasn't the color of money, it was the color green. Well, I actually got a big promotion at a car dealership, and I was promoted to office manager at Land Rover. And Land Rover's predominant colors were green and beige. She also told me that I was going to Las Vegas. I'm like, where did she get this from? I believe I was 23 or 24 at the time. On my 26th birthday, I got dropped off at the airport and went to a bar at the airport at 7:30 and had a Coors Light. And I boarded a commuter flight to Newark, New Jersey. And from there, I flew to Las Vegas. And you know that song, I Had the Time of My Life? I certainly did. And again, that's going to be another story for another time. There's so many stories, but that was my first plane flight. And I had a great time. So again, on these episodes, we will have the cray cray portion first. I will have friends on here, as I do believe I've said. If not, I'm saying it now. Anytime I have a friend or a guest on, they get to pick the topic of what we will discuss. They will need to have a quote. They'll need to have a cray cray story. Doesn't have to be about their virginity, but it has to be true and something cray cray, like totally off the charts. And then we're going to move into peace and love. So for today, I have thought about this a lot. I wanted to tell you about something that brings me peace. And I wanted to make it simple because there's a lot of things that bring me peace. So the biggest peace I get is when I watch a sunrise. I think it is one of the most beautiful things that I have ever experienced. Did I say sunset? I meant sunrise. Sunrise. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset. I like sunsets. I do. I think they're beautiful. Something about a sunrise. Whenever I go to the beach, I always check my phone and I see what time the sun's going to come up. I try to ingest some coffee and I cop a squat well before the sunrise. And the ocean air, the peacefulness, the quietness, as you just sit and you look and you feel like a speck in the universe and you're looking out at the ocean and you just see this beautiful, brilliant, tiny piece of the sun. And you sit there with your thoughts and with who you are. And you see God's beauty and how it just rises. And it gets bigger and more beautiful. And it always centers me. I love to take pictures of it. And it's just a gift. It's however you want to look at it. It's a gift from the universe. It's a gift from God. It's a gift from nature. If you ever get a chance to see the sunrise over the ocean, do it. I wish I lived closer to the ocean. I live in New Jersey. I could say down the shore, but there's just something so tranquil and beautiful to watch a sunrise. I'm going to have to rewatch this because sometimes I'm thinking I'm saying sunset, but whatever. It's a sunrise. So if you're looking for something, maybe you understand exactly what I'm saying. But if you haven't, sunrise. Sunsets are beautiful too, but I prefer sunrise. The last portion of peace, love, and a little cray cray is love. I'm going to dedicate this to my father because I love my father. My father, James Challen Fishwick, was born on August 2nd, 1938, and he passed and went to heaven on March 5th, 2024. I am the child that was born on his birthday. I am the child that gave him the most gray hair until he lost it all. I challenged my dad a lot. He was my first love in a lot of ways. My parents divorced when I was 13 months old, and my mom and dad had 3 children. My brother, Jim, obviously named after my father, was the oldest. My brother, John, him and I are 18 months apart. And then there was me. So I knew today, starting this podcast, that it was going to be an honor and a privilege to have my first segment about love dedicated to my father. And for those of you who still have their fathers, you're so lucky. For those of you who struggle with their relationships with their fathers, I'm sorry. And I'll pray for you. For those of you who have lost their fathers, I'm right there with you, and I'm sorry for your loss. For those of you who struggle because your relationship wasn't perfect with your fathers and you still have love, I hope you can work it out. But my father was my best friend. When my parents divorced, he would come pick up me, John, and Jim every Saturday at 10 o'clock, and he would return us home at 5 o'clock every Saturday. He was always a phone call away. You're talking 1971, and he paid my mom child support. So, they didn't attach wages back then. They didn't do any of that shit. And my dad stood by his children. And I remember him dropping us off, and I would get upset to see him go, and I would need him to call me when he got home. And my dad stood by me and was my biggest cheerleader my entire life. And let me tell you, it had to have been tough for him to be my cheerleader because I fucked up a lot. I was involved in drugs. I was basically a functioning alcoholic up until 6 years ago. My choice in men, oh my God. Like, I've only been married once, and that was for a Kim Kardashian hot fucking moment. I was married for 7 months, and I've been single. I've had relationships, but my dad saw me through all that. And he flirted with every waitress in the tri-state area. He was just always someone so easy to talk to. And I'm so blessed because he lived to be 85. And my heart broke when I lost him. He had cancer of the kidney. At his age, I guess, they decided not to remove the kidney, but to try chemo and radiation and things like that. And I remember November 2023, his scans came back fine. Like, it was great. And February 2024 just went downhill. Um, my dad knew me better than I know myself to this day. We just always had and promised each other that we would have a relationship. And, it was bumpy. I can be a bitch. We fought about stuff. We had it out, but we always had this unconditional promise to each other to always lay it on the line and to be honest. And when it comes to peace, love, and cray cray, I would be dishonoring my father if I didn't bring him up first. So this one was for you, Dad. He's still around. I mean, I personally, in my spiritual beliefs, which we'll get into in other episodes, I know he's up there because I have faced some challenges lately. And I know he's up there watching. My dad was a great painter. I have a beautiful picture of a cat that I had saved from a hoarder. Yes, I'm a cat person. He painted that for me. 5 years ago, he had painted a cardinal, and he gave me that painting. I just recently bought a condo almost a year ago, and when I came to see it, I walked in the door, and in the living room was a picture of a cardinal. Hello. Possibly a sign, you think? I ended up purchasing the condo, and I have a deck out back. Really pretty patio. And guess what? Yep, I got a daddy-o cardinal. I got a mommy cardinal. I got birds. I don't know what kind of fucking birds they are, but I got birds all over the place. So you want to talk about love and angels. I was meant to be here, and I am fully at peace knowing that my dad is here with me. So that's basically the introduction to peace, love, and a little cray cray. Yes, you're going to hear things that you're not going to be able to believe that I'm saying or that I did. Keep in mind, Gen Xers, we're fucking tough, man. We've been through some shit. Okay. I know how to use a rotary phone. All right. I know what it's like being told, don't come home until the lights come back on. I know what it's like, the street lights, meaning the street lights. Don't come home till the street lights come on. I remember drinking a beer in the woods, being chased by police officers, cutting class and getting high. I remember you used to be able to buy speed, talking methamphetamines, in the back of a Cosmo magazine, Cosmopolitan magazine. You guys know what that is? I have done my fair share of illegal drugs, which will be shared because I really don't give a fuck. It's my podcast, my stories. So I have a lot to share, and I want to make you happy, and I want to make you laugh. I do have a website, peacelovecraycray@gmail.com. What do you think of peace, love, and a little cray cray? Do you have a story? I'd love to hear your stories. They got to be fucking real. Don't make them up. Please don't make them up. I do have some guests lined up. On tap is Spatooch. We will be talking about dating and online dating adventures. There we go. Spit it out, Jen. Spit it out. I have Johnny Hated, a wrestler, ex-wrestler, retired wrestler. I think you're retired. But he's my male best friend, my brother from another mother. So he'll be joining us. Angela, I actually took this glass out just for you. Angela was one of my clients, and she works for Petco. Mm, Angela, I love Petco. She's also an amazing person who I'm lucky to call my friend, and she's an actress. So I also have invited some other people. Lisa, my BFF for 47 years. Hello. Um, I'm trying to get her. She hasn't committed to being on yet, but I'm going to get her on because she has to. So I am excited. And again, Cray Cray can involve anything. I'm a cat person. I'll talk about dogs. I love all animals. We can talk about faith, and there's going to be talk about Las Vegas, just a whole bunch of stuff. And I just want to share. I want to make people happy, and I want to give people things to think about. So I hope you listen. I hope you enjoy it. I hope I do a good job. I'm really excited because I really think I'm going to put this out to the universe today. Um, Special thanks to everyone who has encouraged me to do this. Um, Carol, I know you're listening, and Jen Chickalise, and just I'm so blessed for the people that have stood by me and that are a phone call away and that have encouraged me to do this. I'm excited. Help me do it better, okay? Because I need you guys. But it's been a lot of fun. And I'm going to sign off every week with this because I really do. I think it's so important in life. And let me just kind of backtrack a little. People in my family, by the way, dysfunctional family, no shit. I mean, we all got dysfunctional somewhere. Um, I will have no problem talking about my dysfunctional family eventually, but we're all a little fucked up. Um, but during family gatherings, I was the picture taker, and I would get the eye rolls, in the pictures. When I lost my father, I was so glad to have those pictures. So, my friends, as I leave you every episode, I will say this: make the memories and take the pictures. Mwah! Thanks for listening. And I hope you stay tuned in and listen to the next episode. I'm excited. I hope you're excited, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.